There's a great Family Guy clip where there's a transvestite sitting at a bar, and the transvestite is looking at pornography on his phone. And the bartender comes over and says, "Ma'am, you can't look at pornography at this bar." And the transvestite says, no, it's okay, I'm transgender. And the bartender says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. Okay, do whatever you want whenever you want to do it." And that is very much what seems to occur in our culture, whether we're talking at a bar or in public or even at schools. And one mother has had enough of it. One mother, an absolute hero mom, showed up to a school board meeting wearing, frankly, a shocking, scandalous, completely inappropriate outfit to the meeting. It just so happens that it was the same outfit that had been worn by a drag queen at the kids' school that very year. And so why is it that a giant hulking dude can wear a silly leotard, but a mother cannot? Why is it inappropriate for a woman to wear the woman's clothing and not for the man? School board didn't seem to have much of an answer. That mother is Kimberly Reicks, a stay-at-home mother of 7 children. We call that a small Catholic family. Kimberly, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me on, Michael. I'm honored to be on your show.
I am so pleased to hear that, and I absolutely adored your stunt. What was the reaction in the room?
Mouths dropped to the floor, and there was one lady in particular sitting behind me just making snood remarks like, "I can't believe she's in that. Ew, put some clothes on." I'm like, "Yeah." And that's when I turned around and addressed her, actually, and said, "Yeah, if this ticks you off, then it should, because this guy came into our school dressed like this, and that seemed to be okay."
This is what the man dressed like in front of our kids. So this makes your head spin. This pisses you off in any way, shape, or form. It should. Because I'm embarrassed to stand here in the outfit that I am in today, but I have a point to prove, and that is that this outfit should not be ever accepted in our schools.
By the way, it's not even just what's good for the goose is good for the gander, because you are a very nice looking lady. You still probably shouldn't wear those things at school, but it makes more sense for a very nice looking lady to wear ladies' clothing. Makes a whole lot less sense for a big hulking dude to wear that clothing. So it's actually much more inappropriate, much more grotesque for the guy to do it. Can you explain what actually happened to prompt your appearance at the school board?
So what happened was that back in May, when I exposed the drag queen show for what it was and asked our school board then, like, why did this happen? How did this get into our schools? What are you planning on doing to ensure it doesn't happen again? They flat out ignored me. They brushed me under the rug. They tried to censor me, and I was not going to have it. And me, along with hundreds of parents here in Ankeny, Iowa, we're wanting to know 100 and some odd days later now and 40 days into the school year, why have we not heard the investigation results of that GSA program? Who let him in? Why was it allowed? And why didn't that guy not get a background check? I can't go eat lunch with my kids, let alone walk into a school half dressed and perform for them. So what's good for them is not good for me. So I said,
you mentioned the GSA, which stands for the Gay Straight Alliance. It's one of these LGBT clubs in the schools. And you mentioned this drag show. And I get that there are more questions probably than answers, but what actually happened with the club and the drag queen?
So the GSA hired this guy to come in to perform for the children as young as 12. He was a 21-year-old male exotic dancer. He does not attend the school. He never attended the school. And for him to come in to perform for our children was just outstanding. And like, why? What was the purpose of that? And so that's questions that we still have no answers to.
How old are the kids in this club?
The youngest one that attended the show was 12.
It's sick. That is absolutely sick. I assume the club has a faculty advisor. Is that right?
Yes, they are supposed to. So the GSA is a school credited but not funded program. It's funded actually by the CDC. And there's teachers that overlook this GSA program that is supposed to be monitoring it. And so there was 2 teachers in particular that are still teachers there in Ankeny School today. The one is the choir teacher, and there's one that is I believe she's an English teacher. And far as we know, there's been no repercussions on what they did and why they allowed this to happen in our schools.
Right now, head on over to ring.com/Knowles. The fall is just a magical, wonderful time of the year, and it's very, very busy. The kids are back at school. You got to go pick them up at the dance recital. You got to go get them from after school. Maybe you're traveling. You got the holidays coming up. You got to jet out to go get your latest pumpkin spice latte. Okay, people are really, really busy. You're in and out of the house. You want to make sure your home is safe. That's why you need Ring. Ring, yes, they've got the video doorbell. You see and speak to whoever is on your doorstep, no matter where you are, in the home, at the office, on the other side of the world. Ring also has a powerful home security system that's called Ring Alarm. And then Ring took it up another notch even. You're not just going to protect your doors and your windows and your physical home. They've got Ring Alarm Pro. Go pro, be a pro, just like me. CNET calls Ring Alarm Pro a giant leap for home security. Right now, head on over to ring.com. These are the guys that I trust. Find out how you can live a little more stress-free this season with a Ring product that is right for you. That is ring.com/Knowles. You were about to make me feel better when you said, yes, the school has given accreditation to this club, but they don't give the club any money, until you told me that the club is funded by the federal government. That actually makes me feel a lot worse. But okay, I'm not going to blame a 12-year-old for making a stupid choice and inviting a drag queen into a club. 12-year-olds make stupid decisions all the time. That's pretty much the definition of being a 12-year-old. But you're telling me there are 2 faculty advisors here. So then my question is, 1, did they know? What did they know and when did they know it? And 2, if they did not know, then what kind of negligence is that for a club advisor?
Oh, they knew for sure because they posed in front of, on the stage at the end. There was a huge photo at the end of the stage that showed all the teachers happily standing there with all the students that performed in that drag queen show and who attended.
So that without question, the teachers need to be fired, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
And you and the other parents have asked for this?
Yes, we have. We have demanded it and they refused to do it.
Have you been able to speak to any political leaders right now? I mean, I'm pleased that you can come on my show. We'll spread this as far and wide as we can. It's a national program. We have international listeners. So I think absolutely that people who are listening right now should call in and put a lot of public pressure on to get these teachers fired, get this club shut down, and keep the transvestites out of the 12-year-olds' classrooms. But has anyone spoken to, your member of Congress, senators? That no one is speaking up against this who's actually in elected office?
No. But I did have 5 state reps did call me or text me saying that they were proud of what I did and they hope that I come up to the Capitol this session and start protesting to help get them to get a law passed so this doesn't happen any further.
How long do you think this has been going on at your kid's school?
I'm guessing at least 2 years since COVID started, and it's just bringing to light because a lot of this stuff we saw online, and so a lot of the kids are more open about talking about it. And so I don't think if without COVID, we would have seen it as quickly. But since with COVID and since we had to go to like online stuff when the lockdowns were in place, that's when we started realizing this agenda that they are pushing on our children.
What is so spooky to me is that you're not in New York, you're not in California, you're not in Chicago or Washington, D.C. You're in Iowa. Or do you just happen to be in an extremely radical left-wing town or county?
Unfortunately, yes. I'm in one of the liberalist towns in Ankeny, but that's okay because last session we actually got the town flipped from blue to red. We ended up getting 6 seats overturned in our city. We had 3 school board members overturned, 1 city mayor, and 2 city councilmen. So we do have more of a conservative running now, but they have a huge mess to clean up, and I think that they're just getting buried left and right.
And I have to imagine no matter how left-wing the town is, I mean, obviously it can't be all that left-wing if the political tides have shifted so much, but no matter how left-wing your neighbors are, I think if you did a public opinion poll of your neighbors, I can't imagine that most of them are going to support drag shows for 12-year-olds, right? Am I giving too much credit to your county?
No, there's very small amount of them that will actually want that in our county. Most people do not want it, but most people, it gets hidden from. So like the GSA program was not made public that this was going to happen. It was not made known to all students. It was basically exclusive for those students in the GSA. And it did happen after hours, but then that just makes us more questions. It just makes us ask, how did they get into the school building after hours? Who let them in? Who approved all of this? Because there's protocols that you have to go through in order to be able to host any kind of show in the school. And the administration of the particular school has to sign off. You have to have the approval of the superintendent, and none of that happened here, and it all just got brushed under the rug. Like, why is that okay?
You know, I sometimes see this issue approached from the perspective of, well, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? Why do you guys care so much about this? And I think, well, you can obviously flip that on the other side and say, well, we're not the ones changing the way that we view sex and education and kids. You guys are the ones changing it. And you're spending so much time and energy and money doing that. You're obviously very focused on it. It's another question, why can a child not see a drag show? Why a child must see a drag show? But then the question I have is, what about this drag queen himself? What is it about this guy that makes him so determined to prance around half naked for little kids?
Right. And that's our questions too, as concerned parents. Like, what makes an adult want to perform and get the approval of children? Like, why would you want to do that if you don't have an alternative motive?
I don't know what to tell parents. When parents write into me all the time and they say, I don't know what to do with my kid. My school's gone really woke. And obviously now you've got sexual performances for 12-year-olds by guys who are obviously little on the perverted side if they're prancing around in women's clothing. So this is a genuinely a dangerous situation. You've got 7 kids. Do you feel comfortable sending them to this public school?
I don't, and that's why I pulled them for this year. So
You did?
I did. So I have my one son, he's a freshman. And so he's like, Mom, I know what's going on. I'm okay. I just want to go. And so I did pull my younger 2 that are in school out. I have 2 of them. I have 2 kids that are out of school, and I have 3 kids in school. And so they are out of the school system.
But it creates a problem. I mean, you've taken the charge to be fruitful and multiply very, very well, and you're doing your part to outflank the left, not only by persuasion but also by outbreeding them, which I understand to be much more fun. So good on you for doing that. But it creates a sort of a financial problem too. It's not as though most people in this country can afford to send 7 kids to private school. It's not as though a lot of mothers can even afford to stay home and homeschool all day long. I mean, this is very, very expensive. And so for a lot of people, there's not a whole lot of choice here. It's just either send your kid to the school with the trannies or don't send your kid to school at all.
Right. And that's exactly the tough part we are in. We are in that tough situation right now, just with like trying to make financial ends meet because of the fact that, I can't work anytime outside the home during the school hours because I'm home with the kids watching them now. And it does make it a little difficult, but God will provide, and we will make sure that we can keep going. And I will make sure that my kids are not indoctrinated.
Yeah.
And best I can to shield them from what's happening in our schools.
Have any teachers spoken out against this? Obviously there's the 2 faculty advisors to the club who are bringing this weirdo in and taking weird pics with the kids. But surely there've got to be some good teachers here who are joining you at the school board meeting and speaking out against it.
No. I'm a lonely person standing up there, and anytime they see my name on the agenda, the board will actually stack the stack it against me. So when I first brought this to the attention, I'm good at making posters. I like to make posters and held them up because that's my thing. And so the very first time I addressed them after the GSA program happened, they actually cut live feed. They had technical difficulties. And so, but as soon as the first person that they brought in was on, it worked. And so there was 3 of us that spoke up against it. And there was about 20 of them that they brought in to speak for the GSA and how they needed to have it in school.
How does this work with the federal funding? Because, I was a member of a ton of clubs in school. I ran a bunch of clubs. I was very involved in the extracurriculars. And I don't remember the federal government giving me money for the choir club or the band or the plays or the student government or any of that. So what is it about the gay club that gets federal dollars?
I'm guessing it's a mental illness, and that's why the CDC's got it. And I mean, I don't know what other way why they would have it besides it's a mental illness, and that's why the CDC is funding it.
Right. Well, yes. If you're a man who thinks that he's a woman, I guess by definition that's a mental illness. And so, but usually you would hope that the CDC or the more medically inclined agencies of our government would be spending their money trying to cure mental problems, not toward exacerbating them.
Yes, I agree.
Right now, text Knowles to 989898. The Labor Department's Consumer Price Index, which catalogs the cost of goods, services, food, and rent, rose 0.4% over the month of August, double what many economists had anticipated. Perhaps worse, core inflation, which excludes food and gas prices, saw the highest increase last month that it's seen since August of 1982. What is the current administration doing to quell that surge of inflation? Spending more taxpayer dollars, of course. Don't bury your head in the sand while your savings deplete. Diversify into gold with Birch Gold today. Text Knowles, K-N-O-W-L-E-S, to 989898, and Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on protecting your savings with gold in a tax-sheltered account. The experts over at Birch Gold have almost 20 years of experience in converting IRAs and 401ks into precious metals IRAs. With an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau, countless 5-star reviews, and thousands of satisfied customers, why have you not checked them out yet? Gold has always been your best hedge against inflation. Head on over right now to Birch Gold. You text Knowles, K-N-O-W-L-E-S, to 989898, and Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on diversifying into gold tax-free. Take the necessary steps to hedge against inflation today. Protect your hard-earned money. Get your free info kit by texting Knowles, K-N-O-W-L-E-S, to 989898 now. What about the parents in the community? I mean, because I bet you, I told you, I bet you if you did a poll right now, 90% plus of the parents would be on your side in terms of, do you think these drag queens should dance around for kids? How many are actually standing up with you at the meetings?
None.
None even of the parents?
No, there was about 2 of them when I first brought it to the school board meeting. And there's maybe 5 of us that will stand up at all the time. But when I went up against them just this last Monday, it was just me and another mom.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because of the backlash that people get here in our town. And I don't think people like that negativity. They don't like to be themselves out there. So especially if you own a small business, in this town and you're speaking up against what they want you to, they'll find a way to shut you down.
Of course. And you even think with some parents, I bet they don't want their kids' grades to be affected. Everyone wants to get into a college and, just kind of check that box. And so I see this everywhere. When people come up, they'll ask me at speeches, Michael, should I speak out or should I keep my head down and get the good grade and move on? And there's so many incentives just to keeping your mouth shut. I guess I'm just so surprised, really, that this is going on not just in the big cities, but even in small towns and states that are supposed to be pretty normal.
Yeah. And I mean, the city definitely comes after me. I mean, they are at my doorstep at all times. The Ankeny police are after me. And I mean, it's just whatever. I have thick skin and they can throw whatever daggers they want at me and I'll take them because if it helps save our kids, that's what I'm here for. And I will never stop working for our kids.
What do your kids think about it?
They love it, actually. They're like, my mom's a superhero. And it was funny because, like, when my little Olivia, when we got the mask law passed in our state, she was a huge part of that. And I remember her going up to her principal after we got the law passed that they can't mandate masks on. And she walked up to the principal. She's like, Miss Ryan, guess what? And she's like, what, Olivia? And she's like, my mom made a rule and you can't put a mask on me. And she flipped her hair and she walked into that school. I was so proud of her because she felt so empowered. And it was just like, yep, that's my kid.
Wow, that is fabulous. Oh my gosh, I love it. So, I wish we had more time even to touch on that. But you also helped spearhead the effort to get rid of the stupid mask rules.
Yes, I was the mom that was talking about my daughter had the staph infection, and it caused staph infection on her face 4 times. So we got a medical exemption to not have a mask in school, and that's when they segregated her. They literally put her on one side of the room compared to everybody else on the other. And so I am suing the Ankeny School District for the retaliation they're doing with my child. A judge did come in and dismiss my case, saying there wasn't enough evidence. So we are appealing it, and we are moving forward with the case.
Wow. Oh, I just absolutely love it. You just think of the irony here. The same people who are saying that it's of the utmost importance that poor little kids cover up their face entirely with the mask are the same ones saying that you don't need to cover up your legs or your midriff or anything else if you're a crazy guy dancing around for the GSA club.
Yep.
Absolutely insane. Well, Kimberly, I wish you all the best of luck. Where does the effort stand now? I mean, is it just at an impasse and you're waiting for a response from the school board? Or how can people, as I suspect they're going to want to do, how can people help you?
They can go to our website at iowamamabears.com, and that's iowamamabears.com, and they can help by supporting or donating, whatever you feel God leading you to do to help out. We are appreciative of everything.
That's really wonderful. And since you're willing to give some advice and, help lead this kind of a movement, I would be remiss if I didn't ask, given all your political activity, when are we going to see you run for office?
I hope soon, because honestly, I think that's where God's leading me. And I mean, maybe in 2024 when I get everything off all the spears off my back for now, but I think my fight right now is to focus on the schools. And so this next year, I think that's my biggest thing is I have to be boots on the ground in your face to these people, because yes, I can get a lot done running, but I can also get a lot more done without having my hands tied just being a mom.
Right. You clearly are getting stuff accomplished right now. Would be absolutely fabulous if you could run. I think it's a really, really important issue. And I think the left is running scared here. I think it's totally a house of cards. You saw what happened in Virginia in particular, this transgender issue in the schools. People across voting demographics realize that it is completely insane. And I know that the squishes, even the squishy conservatives, even the squishy normal people, they want to back away from it. They say it's a culture war issue. Oh no, I don't want to be called a phobe or a bigot or whatever. Keep your head down. Normal people realize that this is insane. No sane person with 2 brain cells to rub together and a moral conscience thinks that a pervert in a dress should be dancing around for 12-year-olds at the GSA club, okay? So this is a completely winning issue. I think you are doing a great job leading the way on it. And I think you're doing it in a way that's very, very funny, but it's calling attention to a very, very serious issue. Kimberly Reicks, I look forward to seeing the launch of your campaign. And I look forward to seeing more accomplishments in the meantime.
Thank you so much.